All right. So we want to proceed from where we've just stopped. So we want to look at the short-term decision making. Now, short-term decision making is very similar to short-term decision making is very similar to relevant costing, and that's why we handle these two together. Now, why called short-term? Definitely, these are decisions that are made in the short run of doing business. And we also need to know that such decisions may not necessitate us to really maybe increase on our capital investment. So meaning that these are short-term in nature, that they don't have an effect on, let's say, our fixed costs. You get it? And basically, they're within a small time frame, just for you to know. So such decisions, we have the special price order decision, where a given client wants you to supply or provide them goods at a price that is lower than your usual price. And it could be maybe, basically it could be your lower than your usual price, like supply of cakes at 40,000 if your standard is 50,000, like I use that example. So you just need to know. And then the other is, of course, it could also be around product selection. By product selection means maybe you're into beverages and you're dealing in water, you're dealing in soda, and so on. And then you have to make a decision in regards to what exactly to produce, either to produce water, produce maybe juice, produce soda, and so on. So product selection, as well as, of course, dropping a product. You might have a product that's not really doing well, maybe because of the market. I think if you're in Coca-Cola's shoes, you will be thinking about products like maybe Crest, products like Stony, and trying to see, do I still need these products? You get it? So these are reflections that you make when you're making such short-term decisions. So it can also be a make or buy decision. By make or buy decision here, we're trying to say, can I let's say, buy these materials? Can I buy these materials, or should I acquire them from another person? Still, I'll use the example of beverages. For example, you may decide that instead of manufacturing bottles, why don't I engage a bottling company? Why don't I engage a company that actually manufactures bottles, maybe like nice plastics, to supply to me the bottles, and they pack my juice? You get it? You know very well that not every juice company manufactures bottles. Some of them get the bottles and then fill them with juice, and they're out there to the market. So you need to make that decision and see, am I going to make, and that's the same decisions that you see companies, other companies like car manufacturers make. Say, do I have to make the tires, make the engine, make everything, or I can actually buy these things and in terms of components. And of course, we know that there also could be other qualitative decisions, especially around each of these decisions. Like, for example, the make or buy decision. When you're deciding to buy, there are things like you'll be affected by things like reliability of suppliers, because remember, previously you were making these things within, but now you have to depend on another person to supply you these materials. So is it reliable? You get it? So we shall get down to look at that. Then we have the sales mix. Sales mix, not so much different from product selection. You're wondering how much of each of the quantity of the products that I'm dealing in should I be able to sell? You get it? And of course, here you're trying to look at what is each of the product brings in and how much do you incur in producing that product. You understand? So those are our short-term decisions: make or buy, operate or shut down decision. You shut down a given division of your production. Maybe you're shutting down the juice department. Maybe it's no longer working well. You get it? A product mix and a limiting factor. Every time you see the word limiting factor, you should understand that it could be a resource. It's a limited resource in a way that you cannot go beyond a certain quantity of that resource. I'll give you an example. This could be like gold. Maybe you're dealing in making jewelry, and you have a given quantity of gold that you receive in a given year. You get it, and that gold can you cannot even if your demand increases to what extent, you cannot go beyond. So you have now to prioritize that gold across your products depending on what margins you get from each of your products. We shall also understand, of course, accept, reject, special order. Already gives clarification on that. Sell or process further decision. This is also another element of short-term decision. I think we've seen people that are dealing, for example, in agricultural products. You make a decision either to sell the raw mangoes or to go ahead to process them into juice. Or maybe you're dealing in fish. Are you doing processed fish, or you're selling the raw fish the way it is? So these are decisions that entrepreneurs on a day-to-day basis interface to make sure that they are making the right decisions about how their business is run. You get it, eh? So we have, of course, procedures for short-term decision making. Now, one, they are saying check whether fixed costs will remain constant. Remember, we said fixed costs are irrelevant, but can also be relevant somewhere, somehow. Because if, for example, you, I'll give you an example. If it's a make or buy decision, maybe since you're now going to buy some materials, there are some fixed costs that you could be going to do away with. Maybe you had a bigger space because of this production, and since you're going to outsource these materials, it means you have to reduce on the space. You get it? And that means the fixed costs will not remain constant. So you have to make that check on your fixed costs. Where possible, they are telling us separate fixed costs from variable costs. Of course, that is very important. Then compute revenue, compute marginal costs. Revenue is what we are going to earn. Maybe it's a special order. Marginal cost, the word marginal cost means additional costs. What additional cost will you incur if you take on that decision? And then we shall also look at the contribution of each alternative. By contribution here, we're trying to mean what is the revenue vis-a-vis the variable costs. What is revenue? Remember, contribution is total revenue. Total contribution is total revenue minus the total variable costs. The reason why we're only looking at the contribution is because it's only the contribution that gives us the picture of the relevant costs. You know very well that if it's not contribution, if it's profit incorporates also the fixed costs. So since it incorporates also the fixed costs, then in that case, it will not be relevant. You get it, huh? So we only take contribution. And then they're telling us that where a limiting factor exists, they're telling us that go on where a limiting factor exists, they're telling us that calculate the contribution per unit of the limiting factor. This one I already talked of the limiting factor. The limiting factor cannot only be materials, it can also be even machine hour. Maybe you have a given machine that cannot produce beyond a given capacity. It could also be labor. Maybe your labor, for example, if I'm a tutor who is teaching MDC, if there's another paper that I was supposed to teach at the same time, it's a limiting factor. My time is a limiting. I cannot be in two places at the same time. So it's a limiting factor in its own. So limiting factor can be in different ways. Then they're telling us that then finally choose the alternative that maximizes the contribution per unit of limiting factor. Okay, just trying to give us the definition of a limiting factor here, but it should be just the same. So then we start with the make or buy decision. Now, by make or buy decision, like I indicated, you're into production, let's say water or juice, and you make a decision of, let's say, buying the bottles. You get it? As you make that decision, you have to take into consideration different scenarios. Of course, one of the key things that you need to have in mind is that any alternative that you choose, either make or buy, one has to be cheaper than the other. Your choice has to be cheaper than the other. You get it? But not only that, of course, we also have qualitative factors that we shall look at. Like I indicated, the reliability of suppliers, but that should also be very, very key for you. You get it? Huh? And of course, when that if you're making something yourself, you have control over the quality. You get it? You have control over the quality because you might hire a supplier to supply to you given commodities, and these commodities come with issues, come with challenges. So these two options have, of course, advantages and disadvantages on them. You get it? Huh? But of course, here we are trying to explore and say what are some of the things that we should basically consider when we are making the decision. You get it? Yeah. So they are telling us that as we make the decision, we should also know that it's not only about the purchase price of what we want to buy, but we should take into consideration the transportation, things like the insurance, the ordering costs, and so on. You get it? So you should do unwholesome evaluation of how much you will incur in buying these commodities rather than making them. You get it? Huh? Yeah. And then, of course, they're saying alternative. Of course, making alternative, we need to look at differential costs. Differential costs, like indicated, if there's any cost that will still be the same, either you buy or make, that cost should not be looked at. You get it? Huh? So we only look at relevant costs, and in this case, we're looking at the differential variable costs, the labor and variable overheads. You get it? Huh? The CEO salary that remain the same, either we buy or make, will be irrelevant in this case. You understand? So it's very important for you to also know that. Now, of course, these are saying allocated costs that remain unchanged in total when components are produced cannot be relevant. Allocated costs, these are like notional costs that we earlier talked about when we were speaking about statistics of irrelevant costs. You get it? Anything that is just allocated, like maybe 10%, 30% across maybe all products. If it's just allocated costs, then those are irrelevant. You get it? Huh? Yeah. Okay, so we should make sure that one, we're looking at where spare capacity exists. When we are making the make or buy decision, these are the two things that we are looking at. When spare capacity exists and when spare capacity does not exist. You get it? Now, what we are saying that if at all spare capacity exists, now this would mean, for example, I'll still use the same example of production of water. and you already have maybe given labor, you have a space where you can actually do this production of this water and so on. You get it? Now, your relevant cost for such scenario, of course, will be the variable cost of the manufacture. You're basically looking at the additional costs because you already have some spare capacity. By spare capacity means you have some unutilized potential or unutilized capacity in some extent. So we are saying that in this case, we shall look at the variable cost, because remember the spare capacity is taking into consideration the fixed cost. So we shall look at the variable cost of the manufacture, what will be our additional cost when we manufacture, and then we shall also look at any specific or additional fixed costs where applicable. Like maybe it could be machinery that will now be brought in and so on. So those will be included. But anything, for example, already you have a supervisor who was underutilized. You already have water that you pay maybe in given liters and it's underutilized. You have electricity that is underutilized. All those costs will be irrelevant in that scenario. You get it? Now, of course, where there is no spare capacity that exists, and we are saying, and the manufacture of these components will lead to withdraw or suspending production of existing products. Now, this will cause what we regard to as opportunity cost. This is very similar even when you're looking at special order. Now, opportunity cost in itself is a relevant cost because ideally it's a benefit that you're foregoing because you now want to make. So you're going to forego a benefit. For example, if you're dealing in, let's say, beverages, you're dealing in water, juice, and so on, and maybe the production of you making bottles now is going to affect the production of, let's say, your juice or your soda. Maybe because of space, you're very limited, so you have to use the same space where you produce juice from. You get it? Even your warehouse might be limited. That means that when you're going to deal in production of bottles, you have to reduce onto the production of juice so that you can accommodate this. So whatever scenario is at hand, you have to look at what are you going to lose by reducing, for example, your production of juice. You get it? So it's very important for you to look at that. Now, they are also saying that if the spare capacity will be created in case components are be purchased, then the amount realized from the spare capacity is also relevant for decision making. Now, if at all you're making a decision to go and buy, and you're going to have some spare capacity that you're now going to divert into production of something else, in that case, that will actually also be irrelevant. Of course, that revenue will be relevant to your decision making because that revenue is only coming in because you're making the decision to buy. You get it? So it's very important for us to have that. Of course, we have limiting factors where we have a make or buy and limiting factors here where your resources are limited. Like I said, maybe you have a limited space, maybe you have limited labor and so on. Here we are saying that the firm should concentrate on making those products which give the greatest saving. You get it? The greatest saving per unit of the scarce resource. We shall look at a limiting factor on a separate case, but you should be able to get that. Then I talked about qualitative factors. That yes, it might be mathematically or quantitatively, it might be very okay for us to make or buy. You have to look at qualitative factors that will come when it comes to making or buy. One, of course, labor issues. Since you're going now to start maybe buying bottles instead of manufacturing them, you're going to have redundancy of that labor that has been in the production of those bottles. There could be aspect of psychological, and some labor may be demotivated. Maybe that's where they are looking at their career. Their career was in that line, and now you're going to outsource. This could be like, for example, outsourcing a service. So this labor would be demotivated. Maybe for them, you're now switching them from production of water to production of bottle, because you're now making bottles internally. So supervisor of water is now being put to a supervisor of making bottles. You get it. And then of course, quality of item bought. Definitely, if you're buying the items, since you have less control, there's a risk that you buy them items and they're of low quality. You get it, huh? And then, of course, buying in of components may render overhauling of machinery. Yeah, you could have some machinery already that you're using produce, and since you're now going to start buying, the machine will also be rendered irrelevant. Of course, they're saying that the suppliers of materials may lose confidence in the company if the components are bought, and they may be lost in the future. You get it, huh? Now, as of course, you don't work in a vacuum as a business, you work with other people. This could be suppliers, but also could be customers. If a customer realizes that you're actually buying components from another person, some customers will not be comfortable. You get it? Because maybe of the reputation of the other person you're buying from. The same thing with your suppliers as well. You get it? If at all they know very well that maybe you've now started buying some of your components maybe from another place, they also not, of course, be comfortable. And sometimes you want to keep these suppliers maybe for other supply of other goods. So it's very important for you to understand. Then also where the supplier is reliable. Of course, you know very well that somebody can say today I can supply to you, but at the end of the day, they cannot be reliable in maybe making orders to a given extent or for a given period. You get it? Huh? The delivery time. If you're doing it internally, you know very well that you have control, let's say, of the lead time. If you're buying it from the supplier, there are chances that the supplier may delay, maybe because of challenges. If, for example, a supplier is from China and China is going into a lockdown, then you know that you'll be affected as a business. You get it? So it's very important for us to have that in mind. So on, you can think of many things that could come around. So we have an example here. They're saying a firm manufactures a component BK200. A firm manufactures component BK200, and the cost of the current production is 50,000 units. The cost of the current production is 50,000 units. So they're giving us our costs here. We have materials, we have labor, we have variable overheads. And then we also have fixed overheads. They're giving us there. Now let's look at the scenario. Just a moment. Okay. So this is the scenario. They are telling us that component BK200 can be bought for how much? For 7.7.5. If so, the production capacity utilized at present would be unused. Assuming there are no overriding technical consideration, should BK be bought in or manufactured? Should BK be bought in or be manufactured? We can read it again. Okay. So a firm manufactures components BK200, and the cost for the current production level is 50,000 units. So we are currently manufacturing this BK200 at that level. And this is what we have. This is our current cost. This is what we are incurring. Cost per unit are these. Then we also have our fixed overheads. So ideally, in total, we are incurring 9 on each unit. But we are being told that component BK can be bought in for 7.75. I think, as you can see, it is less. You get it? They're saying, and if so, the production capacity utilized at present would be unused. The production capacity utilized at present would be unused. Assuming that there is no overriding technical considerations, should BK be bought or manufactured? You get it? So you can try to rethink through. Then I can be able to give you what I would regard as my solution. Okay. Anyone who has thought about the answer, maybe you could type in the chat box or in the comment section. Okay, maybe just to explain something small here. Now, anyone who would want to make a decision on this, any layman would look at this 9, and compare it with how much we are buying this, and look at how much we are buying this, and would definitely say, why shouldn't we buy? Because actually buying is cheaper. You get it? Buying is cheaper. But then you forget that they are saying, if so, the production capacity utilized at present would be unused. The production capacity that is utilized at the present would be unused. Now, remember, this production capacity is giving us this 3.5. As the 2.5, 1.25, and so on, as this is being dependent on the production, this fixed overhead is here, and it's the one that we are utilizing for the production of 50,000. In case we go on to buy, it remains that we shall still incur this 3.5 times 50. You get it? Because we shall avoid this, but the question is telling us that the production capacity utilized would be unused. So it will be unused, and it would mean that we'll have to incur that value. So when you multiply your 3.5 times the 50,000 units that we are producing at this moment, that would give you a value of over 175 in fixed costs, which means that 175 in fixed costs will still be incurred across, if in case we make the decision to buy. You get it, huh? So it's very important for you to have this in mind. Like we said, you get it. So what we have to basically do is to look at this wholesomely. And what we shall do is, instead of us bringing in, of course, bringing in the 3.5 here, ours is first work backwards and look at what is the variable cost, the total variable cost. Add the 2.5 plus the 1.5 plus the 1.75, which would definitely give us about 5.5. Now, remember what we said about variable costs. Remember what we said about variable costs and fixed costs. We say that any cost is rendered relevant or irrelevant only if it changes with the decision. Only if it changes with the decision. Now, in this case, these fixed overheads, either we make the decision or don't make the decision, we shall still incur them. We are incurring them right now with the production of these 50,000 units. Even if we go ahead to get it from outside, we shall still incur them. You get it? So we have to exclude them because these are irrelevant costs in our decision, because for them they are unavoidable. You get it, in nature. So we shall look at the summation of this, and this, which will give us definitely, it will give us 5.5. It will give us a 5.5. And then we shall compare that with how much is, we shall compare with how much this can be bought. So the difference between the two, that gives us 7.75 minus 5. The difference will be the unit saving that we make on each product. And since these products are 50,000 in nature, you multiply that difference by the 50,000 units to give you the total saving. To give you the total saving the organization will make. You get it? When it does what? It goes to buy. So our lesson from this question is that you don't just look at the 9 and look at the other 7 point what? Look at the 7.75, but rather look for only the relevant costs. If they had said that the production capacity utilized would be maybe used for an alternative purpose, then we shall look into that. That information will now be whatever we shall use it for the alternative use will be relevant. But in this case, to be unutilized, it means that we shall still incur it, either we make the decision or not. You get it? Eh? So it's very important for us to know. So we should, of course, encourage management to buy based on that analysis that we have just made. You get it? Huh? Yeah. So I would ask you to try out this one, example 4, as we proceed. You get it? Huh? Now, we have the special selling price decision. We have the special selling price decision. Now, the special selling price decision is like a special order where a customer offers a less price than the normal price. You get it? Now, they're telling us that for us to accept this decision, ours is to look at the operating capacity to serve the order. And we compute the relevant orders, that is to say, the marginal costs or the direct costs. And then we compare it with the price of the product. You get it? And if there's any contribution, which contribution is the difference between the price and the costs, then we should accept the order. Then we should accept the order. So even if you're selling your cakes at 80,000, but when a special order comes in and you compute and you see that you actually have, even if somebody wants a cake at 50,000, you still make a margin of it, maybe because you have unutilized capacity. We are saying that you can go ahead to accept that. But also, we also have qualitative factors that happen with special decision. Today, you are accepting that order of 50,000, yet your normal price is 80,000, but there is a customer A who will be informed about your decision. And even when they are also ordering in the next period, they will not be ready to pay a higher cost of 80,000. They will also come with the same value. So the reaction of your customer in the normal base is very critical. You get it? Huh? Yeah, so it's very important. Then also the people you're selling, for example, if you're selling somebody this cake at, let's say, 50,000 and your normal price is 80,000, it's likely that this person can take on your customers actually. Because when they buy your cake at 50,000, they can actually resell it at 60,000 or 70,000, and that can also affect you. You get it? Eh? But not only that, of course, one of the things that you need to understand is the competitors may also go ahead to reduce your prices. And that means that you can no longer go back to the 80,000. You have now to work within the competition price. Yet you did it because of a special order contract. You get it? So it's very important for you to have that in mind. You get it? And then one of the other thing is, of course, there could be a better way of utilizing the spare capacity other than serving a special contract. Maybe you could introduce a new product that is totally different. You get it? So you have to look at that as well. And then, of course, accepting a contract may lock up your current capacity. Maybe that can be used for other business. Like we said, maybe if somebody needs cakes, it could be locking up your capacity to produce bread, etc. So it's very important for you to know. And also some fixed costs may alter. Now, like we said, fixed costs can only be fixed up to a certain extent. And this fixed cost could be, for example, the salary of a supervisor. If a supervisor is going to be requested to work extra hours, then they may demand for extra value, like overtime. So it means your fixed cost will change. So as you're making the decision, you have to look at that as a factor to consider. You get it? Huh? Yeah. So we have an example here. They're saying AB company manufactures a product known as Cedric. They manufacture a product known as Cedric, which is sold at 2,000 per tin. The current production per tin per month is 5,000 tins, which represents 80% of their total capacity. They have received a business opportunity from CARE, an NGO, to utilize their redundant capacity to make of products to be sold at how much? At 1,600 per tin. Their total cost of production for last month was 6 million, which is 20% of which 20% are fixed costs. Of which 20% are fixed costs. So they're asking us, should AB company accept the order from CARE? Now, why this is a special order is because we sell our tin at 2,000. And these guys want to pay us at 1,600. You get it? Now, our current production is at 5,000, which represents 80%. Now, one of the things you have to understand that we are operating under capacity, because 80%, if 5,000 tins represent 80%, then 20% is still underutilized. Now, we have to also look at, they're telling us that their total production for last month cost was 6 million, of which 20% are fixed costs. So if we want to calculate our variable costs, we shall do 80% of this value to get our current variable cost. You get it? So it's very important for us to have that in mind when we are looking at this. Now, remember, we say that when it is special order, ours is to look at, when it's special order, ours is to look at how much, ours is to look at how much are we making on the product vis-a-vis how much we are incurring onto a given product. You get it? Now, in this case, we are making the product at 2,000, which is our, okay, this is the value that we sell. And this person is interested in to give us business at 1,600. Now, one of the first things that we have to make sure that we calculate is to first calculate how much cost, what is the cost that we are incurring? You get it? What is the cost that we are incurring? Now, remember, CARE wants to utilize our redundant capacity. So what is our redundant capacity? Now, if 5,000 is our 80% capacity, if 5,000 is our 80% capacity, then we can be able to get the 20%. You get it? We can be able to get the 20%. Can try to demonstrate this from Excel. So 5,000 represents our 80%. Sorry. So yours we are asking, what is the 20%? What is the 20%? You remember the things of cross multiplication? Remember things of cross multiplication, maybe this should be X. You get it? And what we shall basically do is cross multiply this, and what we shall have is 80x, 80% x, 80% x will equal to the 5,000 times 20%, like that. So this is 0.8. 80% is 0.8. So 0.8x is equal to is equal to your 1,000. So your X will be 1,000 times the 0.8, which gives you 1,250. So the 1,250 is basically your unutilized capacity. So this is what CARE wants to utilize. So basically, you have to look at how much would this be in terms of revenue. So this is 1,250 times how much they want to pay us, which is 1,600. Which is 1,600. This will be additional revenue. That will be additional revenue. Then you have to look at what will be the additional costs, or what you can call marginal cost. What will be the additional cost? Now remember our question is saying that currently their cost is 6 million. Their cost is 6 million, of which 20% are fixed costs. So you can try to get the unit cost of this. Current unit cost will equal to the current unit cost will equal to 0.8 times 6 million. The 0.8 times 6 million divided by, this is being divided by the 5,000 units. So it gives us 960. So this is the current unit cost. Then can call it marginal cost, will be the 960 times the 1,250, which is 1.2. You get it? So additional contribution will be the 2 million less the 1.2, which gives us 800,000. Now remember, in this question, they say that the fact that we are utilizing our redundant capacity means there will not be any increment in fixed costs. And that is why when we are looking at our contribution, or we are trying to compare how much revenue we are going to make from this order vis-a-vis our cost, we are excluding the fixed costs because they are not part of, they will still remain the same, either we make the decision or not, because we have a redundant capacity. So it's important for you to know that. So that is our additional contribution. So our advice to management is management should go ahead to accept this order because it gives us an additional contribution of 800,000. You get it? This question was also asking what other factors should be considered. Now, the other factors that should be considered, definitely they are the factors we've just looked at. The factors that a given contract may affect our existing clients that take on the product, Cedric. If at all the competition will also not reduce the price just like the way we are reducing. So all these factors, you formulate them to just suit the question at hand. You get it? Yeah. So if at all us providing this special order also, to care does not affect our current customer is also a factor to consider. You get it? So it's very important for you to, yeah. So you can see a special order should be accepted once that you make a contribution of that towards the profits, since no extra costs are incurred. You get it? But these factors are also very important. You get it? Yeah. So you have to try to have that in mind. So we'll end here for today, but you can try to go through the rest of the notes so that next time we can just try to run through them. Yeah. So I hope this has been beneficial to you, and I look forward to seeing you in the next class. If you're watching a replay of this and maybe you're not a student yet, make sure that you sign up for our online classes, which happen every week. So you can always reach out to us through our WhatsApp number or maybe through email. Yeah, so thank you so much. And I wish to end here. I already have shared these notes with you. Yes, so thank you so much. And okay. All right, so thank you so much, and wishing you, in case you have any question, please drop it on the WhatsApp chat and let's pick it from there. Yeah.